Kidderminster Harriers fans podcast episode number 8. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm joined today by Matt. Matt is Orange Juice, and by Nick. And Travis couldn't make it tonight, so we brought in one of the old guard. It's Dan from the very first episode. Hello, Dan. Right, I hope
Hi
everyone's
guys.
well and that kind of thing. I just want to tell you about a compliment that we received because I love compliments when we get them. Okay, and it was by Paul Curtis. Anyone know Paul at all?
No.
No. Hello,
Right,
Paul.
lovely man. It started off. He said, "Hi Wes, when's next podcast out, mate?" And I was like, "Tonight." And he's like, "Yeah." And I said, "Have you got anything you want to say? Anything?" He said, "No." He just said to all the panel, "Great job. Nice to see other people with a great interest in the football club." To which I
Oh,
replied,
nice.
"Cheers, Paul. I unfortunately made the mistake of going to see them in 1990," and he never replied. Never replied. He's like, "No, not happening, not happening." But I also had a message, and I've got to find it now. It was from someone, and I can't remember their name. But they were talking. Because one of the teams, where is it? Is it gone? Is it gone? Yeah, one. Anyway, basically, what it was saying was, one of the teams in our league has gone to Spain for a friendly. I can't remember who it was. Anyone know? Anyone know about that? They
I've
went
heard
to.
Kurjan
something.
Ashton, isn't it?
It was who?
Is it Kurjan Ashton? I've heard they were going abroad somewhere.
Yeah, they've gone
I might be
abroad.
wrong.
Anyway, it doesn't matter who it was. He just wants to know if you think that would work if the Harriers went and did it. What do you reckon?
Did,
Start with
didn't we
Nick.
do didn't we do that? Am I dreaming this? In the season we won the league in 99
Went to
2000, then we go
Denmark.
to Denmark and
We
Yeah.
did.
with
We went
Marvin.
because of Jan, obviously. We went to Jan.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
guess look in that scenario where you kind of got a bit of a cult hero from those lands. It kind of
Yeah.
I don't know, and there was money available. I think now you'd have to see a real sort of return on investment for us to justify that because the first thing that the Harriers fans forum would probably be saying is we could have signed another striker or another player or upgraded the burger van if we'd have not gone to Alicante to go and play, Real Sociedad or whoever that is kicking about over there.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I think it'd be really cool, and I think we probably have quite a decent turnout of fans because there's quite a few young Harriers fans that would absolutely love that, I'm sure, but can't see it happening anytime soon. But happy to be proven wrong.
Are there any teams in Benidorm that we could probably play? Do you know what I mean? Cheap accommodation, and we'd see some of those viral TikTok things. And it's "Darling, hold my hand," and they're on about they're fighting on holiday, whatever. Doesn't matter. Jet 2 holiday, that kind of thing. So, are we all up for that then? If we go next season after next with Adam. Oh,
Count
yeah,
me in. I'm in.
yeah,
I'll be up for a
Dan's
Spain job, yeah. Yeah.
yeah, happy days. So we're going. So whoever said that, I can't remember, and that I feel so bad about that. But thank you for that. Anyway, I just talked about Adam there. I want to talk about Adam's interview. Adam Murray, Kidderminster Harriers
Mm.
manager, did an interview. And this was released on Friday, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was Friday. Yeah.
Okay, Friday. And I thought it was a great interview. And my thoughts are this. He basically alluded that we've signed players who can play in two positions very well, which I thought was excellent. He wants to get the academy boys involved, which I think has just been. We've got this amazing academy supposedly, but they never play. Like
Mm.
they never play at all, and then they just get lost. They never get, never sign up and stuff. So that as well, we can have a chat about that. Knows we need a striker, but happy to wait. Now that made me smile when he's like, yeah, yeah. People are saying, yeah, yeah, but we're not getting him. Blah blah blah. And I thought, yeah, it won't be seeing the trialist family apart from a few cousins. That'd be cool. And he spent his pre-season in Iron Appa. Any thoughts on that at all? Dan, go with Dan. New boy Dan.
Oh, I thought it was a great interview, and I genuinely like the guy. I think he just is no messing, and I think he said in the past about the deals he put forward to the lads
Yeah.
who were out of contract, and he hasn't wavered from his train of thought with that. Um, he kind of alluded in the interview to the fact that there were deals put forward that didn't come through. Whether that's anything to be alarmed about or not, I'm probably not. I think this is just the toing and froing of pre-season that we're seeing. Um, but all in all, I'm excited to see what's coming out onto that pitch next season. I said to you guys before we started recording, I was up seeing family in Kidderminster this weekend. We've all agreed to get to the Worcester game, the pre-season at Worcester, so we can sort of have a good look.
Oh,
Yeah, it's exciting. I think there was nerves. I was nervous when Phil Brown departed, and I thought, oh God, here we go. Like,
Yeah.
is this going to be are we going down the toilet here? But I sort of feel like we have brought in the right person, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what comes out on the pitch next season.
Did you talk about the game against Worcester in the friendlies?
Yeah, the friendlies. Yeah,
Yeah, no,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
cancelled. That's
No, it's
cancelled.
back on.
No, it's
Isn't
been
it?
rescheduled. Yeah,
Has
it's been
it?
Yeah, it's
rescheduled.
back on.
Wow.
Yeah,
Tuesday night, yeah.
What, Tuesday?
24.
Oh, yeah, obviously. Can't make
So you
that.
still got the
24.
Shrewsbury game.
Yeah, of course. Matt, your thoughts on Adam, please.
Like Dan said, really, really like him. A bit different to our previous incumbent, though both were an enjoyable listen. This one's more information, where the other one was just filler and talking about yesteryear and cliches. I liked that he's got a ruthless streak in him in terms of he knew the lads who have departed were given good deals, and if they were given so much time, then we'd have lost on the players that we've brought in now to replace them. Another interesting part for me was that he spoke to Murray Morgan Smith about doing less running. So I suppose the saying goes in a corporate environment would be to work smarter, not harder.
Yeah,
that could benefit us because he's not. He can't run like a Jamie Vardy at 28 at his age, and there are values he can bring to the team for sure. It's about conserving his energy, I suppose, and getting some more longevity out of him. It sounded like we've missed out on a couple of strikers, and I think that's part and parcel of football, really. We are going to miss out on one or two naturally over the summer, whether it's a striker, defender, or whatnot. It sounds like he knows what we need up there, particularly with a certain Ashley Hemmings leaving, which would obviously come to that in a bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think his level of detail, the way he comes across, and also he's not really a rookie manager. He's got experience already, particularly at this level. He knows his beans. He knows his beans at this level, and the way he comes across, it's very informative. There's this is what I've done. This is why I'm doing it. So there's a lot of hysteria about people like Caleb Richards going, which of course is gutting. Very, very good players, and of course a lot of the players that have gone that we offered deals to have all gone to a level above.
Yeah,
which speaks volumes of them as players. But obviously, we couldn't wait around for 3 weeks for someone to decide because we might not, for example, have got in someone like Obi or Bird in. Yeah. They'd have gone elsewhere. So it's knowing why he's doing things as well. Obviously, not going to know absolutely everything about why, what things that stay confidential. But I'm enjoying his interviews at the moment. They're a lot shorter. They're not the usual Thursday night tea time sit downs like we used to have, but still very, very good. And I wish Adam all the very best.
Nick, thanks, Matt. Nick, you said about Caleb that you said you didn't think a League Two team would take a punt on him. Matt thought maybe that might happen, and I was just either way. I wasn't sure. He went to Woking. Do you think that's a good move for him? It's in the league above, obviously.
Yeah, I think he's maybe got family there or a partner that lives down south is what I've read. So I think it logistically works for him from that perspective. And ultimately, Woking are a really established National League side, probably harbouring ambitions on always being in and around the playoffs. Probably not quite got the budget and the resource to win it, but they're normally a side that might compete, albeit they didn't last season. I think that National League level is probably his level. I think he'll probably start at Woking. I think he's going to probably be a regular player there. So, like I said on the previous podcast, good luck to Caleb. He's been a great player for the Harriers, and I'm sure Woking will see the very best of him. Like I said, I just think he's limited in terms of going forward, and in the modern day, being a fullback, it doesn't matter. You haven't got to just be a good defender. You've got to be a good attacking player as well, and he's a fantastic defensive left back. That, in my opinion, he's not a very good offensive fullback, which is probably why he's at the level he's at.
He's not our problem anymore, which is great. So thank you guys for your comments there. I want to move on to Hemmo because this was supposed to be the special Hemmo episode, and basically I invited Hemmo on because I can do that because we're friends and stuff. But he didn't get back to me, so I don't think him. If he's coming, he'll be in 2 minutes. So my man friend Hemmo's not coming. But what I want to do is share this with you because this absolutely blew me out the water. To be honest with you, I got this from Paul Bayliss. He sent me this link here. Steve H, whoever Steve is, I don't know, But Steve says, don't know whether it helps, but may give a little more clarity to the situation, the Hemmo situation. Work colleague who lives in Dagenham, does not support them, understands the following. Dagenham were taken over by club underdog, I don't know what that means, in May 2024 with a lot of promises for success. However, they were relegated. Marwan Seri, an Egyptian entrepreneur, joined the board April 14th, 2025 with substantial funds, so he said. Lee Bradbury was appointed manager June the 4th. He was promised money and submitted his targets and only accepted the manager's job on the basis that he was supported financially. Early June offers were made to a range of players, which included Hemmo, substantial transfer fee and big wages, big increase in his wages, obviously. But he believes the deal was completed weeks ago. However, things have gone a bit up at Dagenham with a controversial withdrawal of Marwan Seri, including his money and some of their commitment. They are now regretting. Okay, so I mean, first thing I thought there, guys, was the fact that we didn't mention Hemmo leaving at all on the website. We didn't mention it on X or anything like that, right? So that made me think. I wonder what's happened there. But then you've also got contracts end the 30th of June. And the 1st of July. But they were buying Hemmo, so it wouldn't matter about that at all. Dan, thoughts, please, on that and all that, if you didn't know that.
It's a bit confusing, isn't it? I mean,
Dan, you stay there and get confused. Has anyone read this before? Well, Dan just enjoys that. Nick, have you read that?
Yeah, I have read it. I think that Hemmo is going to be a massive loss. You know, we talk about a substantial fee. You know, ultimately, I think it's negligent to offer a 34-year-old 50k in tier 6, if I'm honest. So do I believe that? Not sure. I think ultimately from their perspective, certainly now they're in the National League South, it's guaranteed goals, it's guaranteed assists. He plays pretty much every week. Don't remember him being injured too many times. And again, you know, 40 plus goal contributions last season, including goals and assists. Yeah. You know, I'll take on board absolutely what Matt, Dan, and yourself, Wes, have said about, you know, Adam Murray's interview and how well he speaks. He does speak really well, but I think ultimately, and I'm not sort of suggesting that it was Adam Murray's decision to allow Hemmings to go. I don't think that would have been the case. But it's an interesting one to think, you know, him taking the job. Hemmings would have been Hemmo would have been a key player for him and his plans. Yeah. That's now not the case. But ultimately, look, you know, the manager's come out and said, you know, a lot of big statements around offered really fair deals to players, etc., etc. Gone really early with the business. You know, I said this to Matt on DMs the other day. You know, you make a rod for your own back, and you know, if he goes and delivers, he looks like a genius. He looks like he's really been able to pull it off, and obviously that's what we all hope happens. If he doesn't, and after 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games, we're struggling to score, we're not playing particularly well at home, the new players are sort of bedding in, getting used to playing for what is effectively a much bigger club than pretty much all of them have played at, whether you count them as bigger clubs into the fan base or location, whatever. So I know some of them have played at Hull, but they don't get the biggest of crowds. It's a different conversation that we're having in, you know, September. But yeah, Hemmo's going to be a real difficult one to replace, and he needs to find 2 strikers because we needed one as it was. We now need 2, and we now need to replace the one that actually scores the goals.
I mean, mad, isn't it? It's a bit of a mad situation. Dan, go.
Sorry, mate. Yeah, do we need to take into account the fact that, you know, he had a purple season last year? He was on the end of everything. The season before, he scored 11 goals, and I know it was the league above, and the level is very different, but. You know, what was different about last season to the season before and what is to come next season is, you know, we've lost some of those sort of key players that were delivering the ball into the box, Dave Wall, for example. You know, is Adam Murray thinking that the way he's kind of setting this team up doesn't, do you know what I'm trying to say? Is Hemmo the right person for what he's setting up?
I don't think for a minute that we've looked to get rid of Hemmings. I think we've had an offer that's too good to turn down. We've had if it is 50k for a 34-year-old who's probably got 18 months top left in him is good, because in the next 2 years we're going to have to replace him, sadly, and it's likely that he will either retire or move on elsewhere. So that sort of money for that sort of age is very good. There is question marks whether he'll do that sort of season again. He never has before. I think the conference caught up with him a little bit. I think it was one of those who maybe matched more than met his level, which is why he'd been floating around the National League North for some time.
Yeah.
I do take the argument that he played a number of games on the right wing back when Robinson was injured and Oxlade-Chamberlain didn't quite work out. But even when he was up front, I didn't really see that sort of Hemmo we were used to seeing. But it is a massive blow. I think for this level, he's a top player who's given us some brilliant memories. I think he's always been the sex factor for us in terms of giving us that little bit extra. And I'd go back to the Brackley game when we beat them in the playoffs. That performance pretty typified that last 3 months where it was a very strong, organised, professional outfit, a robust machine, if you were.
Yeah.
But Hemmo
with one magic man.
Yeah, but Hemmo gave us that magic, and it was the same last season. I think Smudger may have mentioned there was goals all over the park last season. Yeah. I respectfully disagree, and I like Smudger a lot, and I do agree with him on a hell of a lot of things. But Morgan Smith's goals from open play in 2025 was just 4. 2 of those were against Farsley Celtic. Maz contributed and about enough you'd expect a player that did really well in the league above last season because he played a big part in keeping York up. We created a lot of chances, but you take Hemmo's goals out of a lot of those wins, we'd be lucky to make playoffs. I think he's been the one who's given us that extra bit where it mattered. And now this is where, okay, it might be a good deal financially at the time, though commercially it might be a bit of a disaster when you're trying to push the last few early bird season tickets that are coming through. But I think if Murray does go and get 2 strikers, marquee strikers, then it will arouse a lot of interest and hope again. But it's massive. Whether he has a season like he did last season, next season or not, I'm not a betting man, but I'd stick a tenner on him being 15 to 20 goals next season at this club. So
it feels like Woking. Sorry, not Woking. It feels like Dagenham, as that's the club that has been linked heavily. It feels like they're going to try and not buy the league, but they're looking to sort of guarantee success almost by making that signing and ultimately, flip the cards. If we went and signed a 30-plus-year-old striker for a fee that was the top scorer in the opposite division, we'd all be kind of thinking, wow, this is a statement of intent, almost not regardless of his age, because you do take that on board, but you think, wow, we're going to win it this year. We're trying to win it this year because we've signed a proven entity at step 6 who is a goal scorer. But to Matt's point around the goal contributions for Maz and Hemmo, I think it's 64 goals and assists between the two. Don't know how many we scored, but it would have been in the 90s. So we've lost 60+% of our goals this summer. And you
so take Dave Bourne out of that
huge.
Well.
Yeah, it's
that's another 10, isn't it?
Yeah. So that's not all of the goals, but it's not far off.
I'm going to play devil's advocate here. Right. So that report, that information that I read off Harry's online, and got to say a big thank you to Phil, because Phil's always supported everything I did. So thank you, Phil, for that. But my question to you is this: if it all goes up, right, and Hemmo has to stay, if it goes Pete Tong and Hemmo stays, is that an issue, do you think, with the finance and stuff? What do you reckon, Dan?
I think, in all honesty, I mean, the financial issue of all of this is certainly with that report that came out showing the club's losses for last season. I think it was about 200,000, wasn't it? They lost for last season. But I think Nick's absolutely right that Hemmo does put bums on seats. And I think if it did go tits up, or am I allowed to say that? If it did go belly up, I think Hemmo comes back as, the kind of returning hero. I think, I think we're all understanding. He's 34 years old. He's offered a better deal. We're all going, okay, I get that. Like, he's gonna take that.
Yeah.
I've also heard it's double the money.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Yeah. The weekly amount I saw was quite high as well. And
so just doubling a yearly salary, everyone goes for that.
Exactly.
Life, almost regardless of the job.
Totally agree. So
it's the same job.
And certainly personally, I'm not saying, well, you've blown it. I'm saying, come on back and let's see what you can do next season. But it's interesting that sort of little piece you showed us just there, Wes, is it shows the instability of this level of football, doesn't it? And how things can change so quickly.
It's not just this level of football, though, Dan. You get it everywhere, in every league. I mean, look at Man United. We don't want to talk about those teams.
Well, I think it means more at this level. I think, Manchester United they're selling shirts all over the world, whereas, we're little Kidderminster Harriers and we punch above our weight anyway. And I think, those sorts of things can make or break seasons, can make or break clubs. So
That's why people like to go and support non-league teams, and more people are going and supporting non-league teams.
Yeah, and I
It's
think
like
that's fantastic.
11% rise or something, which I just think is fantastic. Support your local
Yeah.
sides if you can. We do. Well, you do. I'm in the East Midlands, but anyway. So I want to know your favourite Hemmo moment, please, Matt.
I think the one that stands out is that Brackley final, isn't it? 2 goals. Gave us that extra bit to get us over the line. I think it was the Halifax game where he scored that second goal to pretty much get us to round 3 and settle the game down. But I think the one that stands out for me from that Brackley game was the game before that, the Kings Lynn semi-final. Because before he scored, he missed 2 very good chances. He then missed a penalty. We won't talk about Hemmo's penalties, bless him. We'll still stick to the 150,000 positives. But that game, a lot of players, after missing a penalty, missing 2 really good chances in such a game like that, may have downed tools. They may have just lost their heads. That man kept going and going and going. He kept his head. He showed massive kahunas. He scored a fantastic goal for us just before half time. Then, of course, he set Zach Brown up to put the icing on the cake. And I think for me, that's Hemmo. He never went missing. But there might have been games where he didn't play well, and that I think if he wasn't quite on it, I don't think we were. But when he was, he never gave up, and he always had the ability to produce something out of nothing. I think that Kings Lynn game showed that. I think that was Hemmo. Is just his character and the quality he had. But I think that's a second. The Brackley one, obviously, 2 brilliantly well taken goals. To force into the playoffs in a bit of a mad old end of the season, really, wasn't it?
It really, really was. Nick, your favourite Hemmo moment, please.
It's pretty boring, sadly, because I'm just going to follow what Matt said. But the Kings Lynn one, I think, is probably the standout game in my mind, just because of what we're up against going into that game. A side that had finished 20 plus points above us, away from home in a place we don't particularly do well at. And it was kind of classic Harriers. We dominated, had a chance, missed it. Like I said, missed the penalty. I thought, it's that all too familiar the tale that's going to play out here, and we're going to, end up losing this game. But me and my mate Craig that day said he put in a Football League level performance. It was like we had a player that was significantly above the level that he was playing at. He was the star man on the day. I'm not going to say he single-handedly won it us that day, because he didn't, because there were lots of really good. It was a fantastic team performance, but he was special that day. And, and then we had that momentum going into Brackley, and of course he got the brace at Brackley. So I think that sort of 1 week period is my long-winded magic moment of Ashley Hemmings' career at the Harriers. But there's been several. It's been an amazing servant for the club. Very reliable, always played, always fit. Fair play to him. Good luck for the future. To Hemmo.
Thank you, Nick. Excellent. Dan, I'll come to you in a second. I'm coming to you in a second, Dan. You just keep on thinking about it, mate. Thinking about it, because this is my favourite Hemmo moment.
So after Reading, was it?
Borderline abuse.
I was about to say, what game was that after?
Reading?
Yes, it was. When we knocked Reading out the FA Cup. And I made my way over to the side of the pitch, because it was quite hard. I was mistaken, and it was long and hard, and I made it there anyway. And I saw him. I said, "Can I give you a kiss?" And he was like, "Yes, you can." So anyway, I got it because I'm a bit of a geek for Hemmo, and I got it on a thingy, and then I got him to sign it, and he was like, "Wow, that's amazing." I was like, "Thanks, man. That's brilliant." So yeah, that was for me. That was Hemmo. Oh no, there's also something else. Dan, you tell us about Hemmo, mate. While I try and find something. Okay.
Well, I mean, I'm straight back at Brackley and the 2 goals in that playoff final. But I want to talk about the first goal in that playoff final, because he had no right to score that. The ball was back with the keeper, and I think that epitomised Ashley Hemmings, that kind of insatiable appetite to just run. He chased down the keeper, managed to block the clearance, and was through on goal, and we were 1-0 up. And I just sort of feel that, there's so many kind of moments you can talk about with Ashley Hemmings, and I've got photos on my phone, me and my nephew with him, and he's a great bloke, and he's a massive club player, and he is going to be a huge loss. And that level of running, I think, is what we'll miss. That someone just chasing down the lost balls, just chasing that. And I guess as well, sort of looking at Amari as well. That's the mentality that they both had up front for us over the last season in particular. But yeah, that first goal at Brackley, I think, epitomised Ashley Hemmings.
They were bros, man. Right, let me show you this, because I saw Hemmo the game. I saw Hemmo before. He came round and I was outside the Harry's Arms and stuff. And I said, Hemmo, right? I said, listen, I always ask this, and no one ever does it. But when you score, can you come and celebrate with me? And he was like, absolutely. And then this happened.
Oh, I've seen this.
Here he comes.
Yes, Wes.
Oh, yes. And then I tried
That's
to
amazing.
hug Amari, and then he walks off and he fall over. But my God, what a guy. I don't even remember what game that
Fantastic.
was, to be honest with you, but that was just beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
Mm.
So yeah, I enjoyed that. Dan, sorry, we talking more about Hemmo. We love Hemmo. We love him.
Yeah, I mean, I was pretty much done there. I think I was sort of saying that was my big moment was the Brackley. I think as well that in the end of the game, whenever we won at Agra and those lads would come over, Hemmo was always the last one there having photos taken with everybody. He was always the one communicating with people on the side of the pitch. And, I'm not taking anything away from the lads that are currently at the club. They're still all great. And, you can see the passions there for Kidderminster. But, yeah, Ashley Hemmings just sort of felt like Mr. Kidderminster, didn't he? That was certainly how I
5
felt
years in the modern day game
Yeah.
is unusual. I mean, I put on this I said on this podcast itself that there probably won't be offers coming in for him because of his age, but not happy, but proven wrong. But it's not something you'd maybe have expected. I think it's taken everybody by surprise, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
But actually, if you look at it on paper, that many goals, it's probably naive of us to think that wasn't going to, of me, that wasn't going to be the case, because it's a standout season at any level of football. So, yeah, I think it's taken us by surprise. But
you thought the offers would have come in maybe before he signed that contract. I don't know if there was an appearance clause which maybe triggered an automatic reaction. I don't know.
I think so. I think that might be the case.
I think the summer was probably he might get an offer from somewhere, but we always thought maybe given his age, it's just a random move, isn't it? You don't really hear anyone sign a deal. 3 weeks later, they're off, particularly to a team at the same level and a team that you don't really see as someone to be buying someone off you for that amount of money. But it's football. Anything can happen, I suppose.
I think as well. Sorry, I was just going to say, I think as well, like it was only a few weeks ago, we were talking about, the wanting George Alexander in and him playing up front with Hemmo. And, the idea of Hemmo going never seemed to be an option. Never seemed to be an option. It never seemed to be, the likelihood just wasn't there.
The irony is we've had all these young lads that have left for free.
Yeah.
Your Zacks, your Calebs, etc. There's many more. McNally, who's obviously gone to Hartlepool this week as well. And then it's the old Fox at 34 that gets us a transfer fee. Just shows how important it is getting players contracts at this level, because I get it's difficult. I get that agents and players aren't always open to doing deals and tying players down, but shows when you've got them tied down, people are willing to pay. Let's see what we do with that supposed fee, whatever that figure is, undisclosed, I'm sure.
When was the last time we were paid for a player, and was it Jammer? Can you remember?
Was it Sam Austin? Was that a tribunal or Badrami?
Yeah, I think we got money for both of them because they're under 24.
Yeah, I don't.
Who was the winger? Who was the winger who went to Peterborough?
Lolly.
Yeah, we must have got something for him. Yeah.
And then I think the last big ones, wasn't they?
We put a clause in there, didn't we? We put a clause in Lolly's.
But he basically signed a contract, didn't he? A very short-term contract, meaning that we'd effectively guaranteed getting a fee, knowing that he was definitely going to be sold.
Yeah,
higher ground. Did he go to Peterborough? Or did someone steal him at the end?
Huddersfield
Town.
Yes,
he scored against Peterborough, didn't he?
And then Forest, where he was actually really successful at Forest. To be fair, bit of an icon at the time.
Absolutely right. Listen, guys, we've got 7 minutes left here. 7 minutes. So, any other business? We can talk about that. I'll kick off tonight. Sam Austin gone to Southend, which is great for Sam. Well done. I mean, there was a bit of nonsense chat about, he might come back for a season. Obviously, never going to do that. And also, I've just seen, actually, before I came on, that the 3 fans of Filed, or I mean, they've got 4 fans, whatever. They were painting the stadium yesterday. I'm just wondering, do you reckon, we've done that before, right? Do you reckon they'll do it again this season or not?
Surprised they haven't got Nick Howland doing that for what he's paid. Throw that into the contract.
Absolutely.
I think it's a shame that the club
does everything else for him.
I think it's a shame the club don't invite fans for that. And I think Richard Lane's the best chairman we've had in years. I think we're lucky to have him. But I think there could be some work done on the communication side, and maybe even if it's not via KISS, just inviting supporters to come and help with that sort of stuff, because people happily give up their time. I work in property management. I know what decorators charge per day. If you can get fans in there to do it for nothing, you don't have to make a saving. Just little bits around the place, giving it a bit of a tidy up, just to help, and it gives people a bit of a feel as well. So I'm surprised it doesn't happen, and it'd be nice to see it happen, because I'd pop down and give a day on the weekend just to help out, and I'm sure many others will as well. But yeah, we'll see. Hopefully in the future.
Yeah. Any other business for you, Nick? Any signings, anything like
that? Don't think so. Other than just, I expect next week to be a crazy week on the basis that you're going to get the Hemmo announcement. The assumption is that's going to be announced. I imagine that will be fairly early doors, depending on how they put the strategy in place around season ticket sales. I don't imagine they'll announce it until they've got a replacement for early bird. But then after early bird, who cares?
Yeah.
I'd like to think we'll maybe bring a couple of players in. Adam mentioned in his interview 3 or 4. Did he say that he's still looking to bring in? So I'm pleased about that, because I think we're still quite light. I appreciate what you're saying though about having players in 2 positions. I think that's a really good mentality to have. But it's the calibre of striker for me. And now seeing that Hemmo's going, you sort of knew that we needed a target man centre forward, hold the ball up player with Hemmo off him. We now need 2, so it'll be interesting to see. Murray's got this thing, he talks about his style of football and having a profile of player, which I find quite exciting and interesting. Yeah. Let's see what that is. I'd heard we've been linked with Kurt Willoughby, which doesn't excite me at all, if I'm honest. So I'm hoping that...
Did we try and get him before?
He's turned us down several times, so not sure on that one. Could just be, paper talk, as they say, but be interested to see the profile of the 2 centre forwards that we bring in, because now they are really key, because we've lost so many goals.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's it from me.
There you go. Thank you very much. Any other business, Dan? This is a brand new thing to you, I think. It's just your chance to chat about Harriers in an other business way.
Well, I wanted to bring up, going back to Adam Murray's interview, him talking about the style of pre-season training. That back in my day, it was literally running up the hills at the Memorial Park in Southport. That's what our pre-season was. But they were saying, that it's a lot more sort of technical. They're trying to develop a style of play with the players, and actually, I felt that was. It feels like a bit of a shift away from, the kind of what normally you expect pre-season to me. But I think that's exciting. And I think that shows proactiveness from the manager. And, like I keep saying, repeat myself again, looking forward to see what comes out. But I do think the striker or 2 is key. Absolutely.
Is he not going to have an assistant, do you think?
I was looking at that just before I came on, and still... There's literally no chat about anybody coming in as an assistant.
I think the word on the street is that save money towards the extra players, potentially on the wage bill, or not maybe more players, but just a better quality of player, and utilise some of the backroom stuff that we've got in place already. It's quite stable, and I guess if that doesn't work, then maybe he'll be given a little pot of money to go and bring somebody. In. To your point, though, Dan, about the style of football, from what I've seen, it's a front foot, fast tempo game, which suits what I like to watch from my football teams. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to see what the fan base, the wider Harriers fan base, thinks of that style and how long they give it. I always think we've got quite an impatient fan base, quite considering the level that we're at. I always find it interesting with this. There's all this excitement, and then you get to game 1 and 2, and when it's not, they're passing out across the back with a bit of tempo. You've got the wing backs out, and you've got half the East Stand saying "get it forward." So let's see if his style reflects what the wider fan base want. I'm excited by it personally, as I'm sure we all are. But yeah, one to watch that will be as the season kicks off. I'm looking forward to doing these when the season's actually underway and you get to see the product.
I know. And we signed everyone because it's just we've got how long got left? So we've got a minute left. So like when he came in and then we had these players coming in, it was great, and it was just like going, then boop, nothing. So I just wanted to go again, get some more signings in, and then boom, we're in pre-season and happy days. I think so. Any other thoughts at all?
Nothing for me.
No, I think you just got to sit tight and keep the faith. We've been there before with a good player going when Jammer Matt went, but that was quickly forgotten when we signed Michael Gash. So hopefully Murray will do something similar in terms of suitably replacing someone like Ashley Hemmings.
Gash is still playing, isn't he? Peterborough.
Player manager, I believe.
Yeah, he is. He definitely is.
Centre half.
I'm not dropping. Yeah, centre half and a striker. I wonder if he can play midfield as well. He'd be classic defender, midfielder, attacker. Paul Warhurst, right? Back in the 90s, that kind of job. Anyway, listen, thank you so much, Matt. Thank you so much, Nick. Thank you, Dan, for coming on at short notice. I appreciate that.
No worries.
Yeah, Travis was doing like things that kids his age do, like, I don't know, going out the park with a white
skateboarding or something.
Yeah, being an hero, basically, unlike us old people. So thank you so much. If you've got any thoughts or comments, please leave them in the comment below, in the space below this, and also give it a like, give it a subscribe as well. That's really helpful if you can do that. Give us likes and subscribe. We love that, and comments as well. That'd be really cool. And yeah, let's head to where we're gonna go. Was it Benidorm for another pre-season game? Is that what we're gonna do? I think so. Cheers, guys. Thank you so much, and we'll catch you later. Okay, thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Cheers, guys.